captured headlines from Cincinnati to the City of Angels last weekend. An NFL Week in Review was capturing the excitement that makes pro football so newsworthy. Now in its 19th season, NFL Week in Review is the longest-running syndicated sports series on television. While our Emmy Award-winning cameramen had to weather the whims of Mother Nature in some cities, they remained immersed in concentration as they once again set out to fix their sights on the good, the bad, and the ugly of pro football. The Raiders' Lyle Alzado helped make the afternoon a hideous one indeed for the New York Jets. Sending someone to block number 77 was like asking Pee Wee Herman to stop Conan the Barbarian. Alzado produced 2 of the 10 Raiders sacks that transformed number 7 Ken O'Brien's pass pocket into a pressure cooker. To protect O'Brien from the likes of number 75, Howie Long, New York called on 3 blockers to counter this Herculean hitman. But the triple teaming merely allowed number 91, Brad Van Pelt, an unobstructed path to the Jets' vulnerable quarterback. O'Brien's 29 pass attempts yielded 0 dividends for the Jets, and one of them resulted in a costly mistake. Number 30, Stacy Turan's 76-yard interception return contributed to a 31-0 Raider victory on an afternoon in which Ken O'Brien must have felt like the central character in a Stephen King horror novel. Detroit Lions quarterback Eric Hipple also endured some nightmarish occurrences worthy of gothic fiction. During the first period against Atlanta, Hipple was sacked twice and threw 2 interceptions. While Hipple was being smothered, Steve Bartkowski provided the Falcons with plenty of fresh air by flinging a 35-yard scoring strike to veteran Billy Johnson, number 81. As usual, White Shoes made like one of the solid gold dancers. But Atlanta's upbeat tempo suddenly turned into a funeral dirge when Hipple regained his composure. After the Lions even matters at 21 apiece, Falcon defenders went after James Jones, number 30, as if he had a "handle with care" warning stenciled on his jersey. Detroit's 28-27 win was one of several close call contests last Sunday. Another took place in Cincinnati, where the Bengals encountered Seattle's swift-striking SWAT team of a defense. Number 57, Shelton Robinson's fumble recovery set up David Craig's first touchdown pass. And after Craig threw for 2 more, the Seahawks assumed a 21-7 lead. When the Bengals were forced to replace Ken Anderson with Turk Schonert, it appeared that they would be in for a long afternoon, but appearances proved to be deceiving. Schonert's very first pass of the day resulted in a 71-yard gain by Chris Collinsworth, number 80, and set the stage for 3 unanswered Bengal scoring drives that put Cincinnati ahead, 24-21, going into the final period. But the Seahawks were destined to have the last word, and the last word was comeback, as in Kurt Warner's comeback from a devastating knee injury that sidelined him throughout 1984. Benefiting from number 46, David Hughes' blistering block of a Bengal blitzer, number 28, Warner, proved that he is a sleek running machine that can still maneuver through traffic despite a long stint in the repair shop. Kurt Warner's strong legs provided the foundation for the Seahawks' 28-24 victory. His return to form was good news for Seattle, and one of the many big stories that made the start of the NFL's 66th season one of the most thrilling in league history. Every quarterback has his own way of warming up. For Chicago's Jim McMahon, it meant fielding a few ground balls before taking the field against the Tampa Bay Bucks. And with key blocks from Mark Bortz, number 63, and from Kurt Becker, McMahon wound up and threw to wide receiver Dennis McKinnon for the Bears' first touchdown. But it was Tampa Bay's Steve DeBerg, number 17, who threw the most strikes. A 44-yard scoring pass to Kevin House, number 89, was one of 4 first-half touchdowns that earned the Bucks a 28-17 lead. But on the second play of the second half, cornerback Leslie Frazier, number 21, picked off a DeBerg pass. And from then on, it was all Bears, who shut out the Bucks the rest of the way. Jim McMahon was the winning pitcher with 2 scoring passes and 2 touchdown runs to fuel the Bears' 38-28 comeback win. In Los Angeles, Bronco quarterback John Elway had trouble fielding the snap as Denver's shotgun offense misfired against the Rams. But Elway survived the punishment long enough to throw 2 touchdown passes, one to wide receiver Butch Johnson, number 86. The score helped give Denver a 16-10 lead. But while Johnson wrapped his arms around everyone in sight, the Bronco defense could not get a handle on the Rams' Charlie White, number 33. White had been cut the week before, was re-signed, then sliced through the Broncos for 83 yards in the second half. 8 of those yards came on a touchdown that won't make L.A. fans forget Eric Dickerson, but they will remember the score. Rams 20, Broncos 16. For Charles White, it was an afternoon to remember. For Green Bay quarterback Lynn Dickey, a day to forget. The 13-year veteran played with an injured back, and the therapy he got from the Patriots was hardly conducive to recovery. Dickey was sacked 7 times, once for a safety. It's enough to make a man lose his hair. On the other hand, the New England offense didn't let any grass grow under their feet with over 200 rushing yards that included an 11-yard scoring run by Tony Collins, number 33. And Patriot quarterback Tony Eason completed 75% of his passes for 241 yards and a touchdown to Cedric Jones, number 83. Good for a 19-6 halftime advantage. The Patriots extended their lead in the final period when Craig James, number 32, burst through for a 66-yard touchdown that gave New England all the points they needed in the 26-20 win. What New Orleans Saints quarterback Dave Wilson needed was some bed rest. Wilson's first opening day start reached horrifying proportions when he was sacked 4 times, threw 18 straight incompletions, and was intercepted twice. His counterpart on the Chiefs, Bill Kenny, had a different kind of day altogether, throwing for close to 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, including one to tight end Walt Arnold, number 87, and a pair to wide receiver Carlos Carson, number 88. The Chiefs' first-round draft pick, running back Ethan Horton, number 32, made a great first impression when he closed out Kansas City's scoring with a 19-yard touchdown run. The Saints' Richard Todd replaced Dave Wilson in the 4th period, but even his 3 touchdown passes made little difference for the Saints. Their hopes of winning this game had long since disappeared. The 47-27 win was an impressive beginning, and the Chiefs will need more of the same from Kenny and Carson if they are to contend in football's most competitive division, the AFC West. Lawrence Taylor, the dominant defensive player in the National Football League, heart and soul of the New York Giants. Imagine how it would be to face an entire team of LTs, 11 clones of the hitting machine. 8 sacks later, that's how the Philadelphia Eagles offense felt after being folded, spindled, and mutilated by the Giant defense. And number 56 left little doubt why he is known as an impact player. Bill Sims also made his presence known as he engineered 3 scores and a quick 14-0 lead. While Sims seemed to be running a 2-minute drill in the first 2 minutes of the game, the Giants also exhibited something they were sorely lacking last season, a rushing attack, led by Joe Morris, number 20, which ripped the Eagles for almost 200 yards. While the Giants discovered their ground attack, the Eagles' offensive line experienced more breakdowns than a space shuttle, which made Ron Jaworski about as useful as a disabled satellite. New York encountered few technical difficulties in soaring to an auspicious 21-0 victory. The last time they shut out an opponent on opening day was 39 years ago, and at season's end, they were NFL champions. In Buffalo, the Bills' top draft pick, Bruce Smith, was warmly welcomed to the NFL as the Chargers provided him with his personal escort service. While number 78 got his bell rung by San Diego's double-team tactics, another former first-rounder named Smith, Billy Ray of the Chargers, was dispensing some pounding of his own. Actually, the Bills, led by newly acquired Vince Ferragamo, rolled up 455 yards of total offense and practically beat the Chargers at their own game, the big play. But Buffalo couldn't cash in on a multitude of scoring opportunities as the Charger defense refused to yield a touchdown for the first time in 3 years. Perhaps the newfound strength on defense sapped some of their offensive might, as San Diego managed only 2 scores. This 30-yard touchdown by Eric Sievers helped stave off Buffalo 14-9. Both the Chargers and Bills have already exhibited much improvement over their 1984 form. Likewise, the Colts thought that with new head coach Rod Dowhower to guide them, opponents would no longer be able to take them lying down. But against the Steelers at Three Rivers, Indianapolis appeared to roll over and play dead. Points proved tougher to get than seats at a Bruce Springsteen concert as the Colts found their ticket to the end zone all sold out. On this day, quality backs like Randy McMillan simply weren't born to run, or catch for that matter. The real boss turned out to be Mark Malone, who had the best day of his pro career. Number 16 scored more hits than Bruce, completing 21 of 30 passes for 287 yards and 5 touchdowns. Lewis Lips, number 83, tallied 3 scores and 154 yards, only 5 fewer than the entire Colt offense. The Steelers amassed the most points ever at Three Rivers Stadium as they smashed the Colts 45-3. Finally, after years of hearing how he wouldn't make anyone forget Terry Bradshaw, Mark Malone ushered in the new season with a performance worthy of his illustrious predecessor. Perhaps the dawn of some glory days this quarterback can call his own. Coach Jim Hannafin freely dispensed advice on coaching to Browns mentor Marty Schottenheimer. Once play began, though, Cleveland was forced to pay a price for the lesson the Cardinals taught them in how to steal a football game. When cornerback Lionel Washington scored on this fourth-quarter interception, St. Louis appeared to have the game safely in hand with a 17-3 lead. But that margin evaporated as soon as sunshine gave way to rain. And with less than a minute remaining and the score tied, it was the Browns who appeared to have stolen the thunder. With tight end Ozzie Newsome displaying the enthusiasm of a little boy who relishes frolicking in the mud, the Browns covered themselves with congratulations, thinking that with 38 seconds remaining, the game was theirs. But Hannafin's Cardinals did have one trick left up their sleeves. And this time, the lesson that Cleveland learned ultimately cost them the game. O.J. Anderson's 43-yard run on a screen pass set up a game-tying 5-yard touchdown toss from Neil Lomax to Pat Tilley, with only 4 seconds remaining. The Cardinals completed this act of grand larceny when Neil O'Donoghue's 35-yard field goal in overtime clinched a 27-24 victory. While the Browns were left with their faces stuck in the mud, Miami's Dan Marino was tarnishing his image as a white knight who can do no wrong. Marino displayed the rustiness of a quarterback who sat out most of training camp. But even when his passes were right on the money, his receivers somehow bit the dust. Miami's offense against the Oilers might have fared better had their receivers showed the sure-handedness of Dolphin cornerback William Judson, number 49. It is a rare day indeed when the Dolphin defense, not its high-powered offense, provides the scoring punch. But what must have seemed rarer still to the Dolphins was the sight of ex-Giant running back Butch Woolfolk sneaking behind their secondary for an 80-yard score. Woolfolk's heroics helped Houston erase an early 13-0 deficit. The Oilers completed their comeback in the game's final seconds, when first-year running back Mike Rozier's 1-yard plunge lifted them to a stunning 26-23 victory. After the disappointment of losing the Super Bowl, the thought of dropping the 1985 season opener to one of 1984's worst teams must have been difficult for Don Shula to digest. But then when San Francisco's Bill Walsh gleefully welcomed Bud Grant back into the exclusive fraternity of NFL coaches, the possibility of being beaten by one of the league's other worst teams was probably never even discussed. The 49ers began the new campaign in the same manner that they ended the old one, with running back Roger Craig accounting for 3 touchdowns. But this was a day when emotions ran high for the Vikings. It was obvious that the return of Bud Grant ignited a competitive flame of fire in their hearts and hands. The Vikings, it seems, suddenly remembered the roots of their rough, tough, and hard-nosed past, and they took every opportunity they could to stick it to the current Super Bowl champions on offense, defense, and special teams. The 49ers coughed up 7 turnovers, and in the tradition of Bud Grant football, the Vikings capitalized on them. Tommy Kramer's 44-yard strike to Mike Jones set off a 21-point fourth-quarter scoring spree, capped off by Ted Brown's game-winning touchdown. Minnesota prevailed 28-21, culminating an exciting schedule that had its share of comebacks, cliffhangers, even a record for cumulative points scored on an opening day weekend. Add to that the triumphant return of a coaching legend, and you can say that the start of this new NFL season certainly deserves a tip of the hat.